In today's thought for the day, I want to take us to the Book of Proverbs again and to examine a bit more some of the things it has to say about our speech. Wise speech is by no means the only subject that this Bible book teaches, but it's an important area in the book. It keeps on surfacing. I discovered that someone has come up with an acronym to help us remember some of the characteristics of wise speech in the Book of Proverbs. Perhaps a mnemonic would be a better word than acronym. Anyway, the phrase to focus on is gentle breath. Apparently, by introducing the word gentle, this person meant that our words are not to be harsh or quarrelsome, but winsome and gracious, which is what Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1 recommends. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. I understand that there's a Japanese proverb, soft drives out hard. The acronym or mnemonic has to do with the word breath. So we take the letters of that word, B-R-E-A-T-H, and I shall take us to various places in Proverbs and make a short comment in connection with each characteristic, if not necessarily with each verse. B stands for boasts not. Chapter 27, verse 1, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. In the New Testament, James picks up on this verse at the very end of chapter 4 of his letter. We must practice humility in our words just as much as in our attitudes. R stands for restrained. Chapter 10, verse 19, when words are many, transgression is not lacking, but whoever restrains his lips is prudent. Chapter 17, verse 14, the beginning of strife is like letting out water, so quit before the quarrel breaks out. Chapter 17, verse 27, whoever restrains his words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Chapter 17, verse 28, even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he's deemed intelligent. Perhaps there's a bit of dry humour in that last verse. In the list of the fruit of the Spirit, we find self-control. So this is self-control of the tongue, restrained speech. E stands for eavesdrops not. In other words, not gossiping, not encouraging rumours. Chapter 11, verses 12 and 13, whoever belittles his neighbour lacks sense, but a man of understanding remains silent. Whoever goes about slandering reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy in spirit keeps a thing covered. So this is all to do with knowing how to speak wisely, which must include knowing when not to speak at all. Christians should be known for their discretion and for their ability to keep confidences. A stands for apt, speaking at the right time, speaking in the right way. Chapter 15, verse 2, the tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. In other words, there's a right time to speak and there's a right way to speak, making sure that our speech is apt, and that is a mark of wise speech. T stands for thoughtful, not rash. Chapter 15, verse 28, the heart of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours out evil things. Chapter 18, verse 13, if one gives an answer before he hears, it is his folly and shame. We need to consider what we're going to say before we say it. Once we have said it, it's too late. H stands for honest, not false. Chapter 8, verse 7, for my mouth will utter truth, wickedness is an abomination to my lips. Chapter 12, verse 17, whoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence, but a false witness utters deceit. Chapter 12, verse 19, truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Chapter 12, verse 22, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. And all those verses speak for themselves. So there is our breath mnemonic, words that boast not, are restrained, eavesdrop not, are apt, are thoughtful, and are honest. Let's notice from the Book of Proverbs just a few other secrets about wise speech. It comes from the heart. Chapter 16, verse 23, the heart of the wise man makes his speech judicious, and adds persuasiveness to his lips. It's generated by walking with the wise. Chapter 13, verse 20, whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. It's generated also by maintaining sound teaching. Chapter 22, verses 17 and 18. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge, for it will be pleasant if you keep them within you, if all of them are ready on your lips. And it's also generated by prayer. Chapter 15, verse 29. The Lord is far from the wicked, but he hears the prayer of the righteous. As with an earlier visit to words in Proverbs, let me ask again, what stops this survey of the characteristics of wise speech from being a piece of moralism, such as we might find, say, in the Reader's Digest? What makes Proverbs a Christian book? Well, firstly, everything in Proverbs is set in the context of eternity, where we are accountable to God. Secondly, all of us are sinners in our speech. We all fail, but we are saved for eternity by what Jesus has done for us, not by our performance. And thirdly, that reminds us that Jesus alone is the one whose words tick every single box. They always have done, and they always will. Jesus is our example as well as our saviour. And so our prayer is that he, by his Spirit working in us, would make our words to conform more and more to his standards, so that we may honour him all the more.